Hello there and welcome to Black Jackal Gaming. We're going to take a look at the Warp Talons, part of the new Chaos Space Marines Codex. Now these are the essentially lightning claw bearing jump attack units. So they've got a great ability to keep them on the move, which you're going to use often. And they have a lot of mid-strength attacks. They've got a decent amount of AP on these attacks as well, and they will really blend any T3 and T4 bodies. They're fairly durable for a T4 body as well, but no leaders can join them, which is a shame. But they are fast and they can deep strike, so let's get into it. So the datasheet comes in at 110 points for 5 models, or 220 for 10. They've got a movement of 12, T4, 3 up save, 2 wounds, leadership 6, and objective control 1. They do have the deep strike keyword, so they can come down from reserves anywhere on the battlefield as long as they're 9 inches away from an enemy unit. And they do have that nice 5 up and vulnerable save to make them a little bit more durable than your standard Space Marine body. They do have no range profile, not even a pistol though, which is a shame. For the melee profile, they come in at weapon skill 3+. And they're equipped with warp claws, which have the twin link keyword, which allows you to re-roll the wound roll. So they come in at 4 attacks each, strength 5, -2 AP and 1 damage, which is quite nice. So over to the abilities, they've got one called Warp Strike. What this allows you to do is at the end of the fight phase, if this unit was eligible to fight this phase and is no longer in engagement range of any unit, you can remove this unit from the battlefield and place it in strategic reserves. So essentially you'll charge into a unit, kill it, and then at the end of the fight phase, when you're no longer in engagement range, you can pull this unit from the battlefield and bring it down next turn, which is very nice. It's going to be very useful for scoring points and taking out tough to reach opponents. Looking at the buffs and combos for the Warp Talons, no leaders can join them, which is really a shame since there is the new Chaos Lord with Jump Pack. That would be really nice if he could lead the unit just to add a little more oomph to them. But their ability is really key to them, allowing you to charge in, kill, and then jump off the board. That's what you're going to base the build round with them. So they're quite good in Renegade Raiders. So their detachment rule is Raiders and Reavers, and this gives you the additional AP when targeting a unit on an objective. So this is really nice, which allows you to get in and do that extra damage on key units. There's a nice strat in there called Opportunistic Raiders, and at the end of the fight phase, you can fall back. So what this allows you to do, if you do charge into a unit and you don't quite manage to kill it, you can't activate your ability. But if you have the CP for this strat, which is a 1 CP strat, you can fall back and then activate your ability to get yourself off the board and into safety. And there's another strat. This is Scour and Seize. So this grants you the precision keyword in the fight phase. So if there's any enemy leaders that you want to target, say for example the buffing a unit to make it extra durable and you just can't take it out, you do have the option of giving yourself precision to take out this leader. This is really useful, especially if you are trying to get some final points for assassination to help you win the game. Instead of having to chew through an entire unit, you can put your attacks into the leader and score those points, because victory points are key in the game. It's not a killing game, remember, it is a point scoring game. There's also the option that if you do have the CP available, you can, once you've activated your ability in your opponent's turn, you can use rapid ingression to come down in their movement phase. Now what this allows you to do is, it's still difficult to get charges off because that 9-inch charge is not consistent, it's not reliable. So you can use this to bring them down out of line of sight somewhere and then use their 12-inch movement to set up your charge for the next turn. You really want to probably be taking a 10-man unit. You can take 5-man units to just try and score your objectives and score your points and take out smaller to weaker units. But if you take a 10-man unit, the threat level is exceptionally high. So on average, this will kill 9 to 10 Marines when on an objective. And this is when they use an Armor of Contempt as well, because you will have that -3 AP. They'll also average 3 dead Terminators. Now it's important to bear in mind that this does not include any dark packs, so if you decide to use sustained hits, which is probably the better option than lethal hits, you were then, as well as the 9 to 10 dead Marines, you're probably going to get 2 to 3 extras, and you might pick up another Terminator, which is very nice to have for a unit that's not really designed, on paper anyway, to be targeting Terminator units. On the charge into Terminators on objective, you're almost killing 200 points worth of a unit there. It's always important to remember that in games like this, speed is king. You have to be able to get around the battlefield to score your points and take out priority targets. Now when you combine their speed with 2 wounds, which is always useful, the 3 up, 5 up save, they're great at melee into your lower mid toughness targets, and the ability to pop back into the sky to set up charges later in the game or score points later in the game. You've just got this ability to drop down, do damage, get back up, and not take much damage back at you, because you are going to kill most of the units that you're going into. This unit is God. It is going to come down, do work, and pop back up. When you're taking a couple of these in a game, they are going to be your MVPs. The opponent is going to have to set up to try and counter this threat. They're going to have to try and space out more, which is going to leave them vulnerable because they're not going to be in cover. It's going to be harder for them to get on objectives because they're trying to stop you from deep striking. And you do have the ability just to push them back into their deployment zone, because the threat of these are so high. And when that happens, you can then just dominate the rest of the board. Now, if they choose to just accept the fact that you are going to drop in behind them and they push on, then you've got plenty of space for these guys to operate. And if there's plenty of space, you will be using that ability all the time. If there's not, or the 12-inch movements, it's very nice just to pop around and get yourself into cover. Don't forget that you do just have the option to run them a 5-man unit and use them to pop round, score your objectives, get you behind enemy lines, engage on all fronts, to just distract your opponent. They don't have to be the murder ball that they can be. Sometimes you do just want to keep them cheap in the 5-man unit, pop them around and be a real threat level, especially later in the game when they can really score a lot of points when there's more space for them to drop into. To get the best out of these units, you really have to be planning out how you're going to use them in each phase of the game. So just bear that in mind in case you just decide to run them forward, they get stuck in combat, you don't have CP to get them out, and then they get murdered in combat, and you've just lost a key asset to your army. If you liked the video, guys, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to see any future content. If you want to support the channel, consider taking a membership or pop across to Patreon, where I do some blogging, there's some STLs available, and plenty of memes get posted. There is free membership there as well for you to view the majority of things. Check out these other videos, take it easy, and I'll see you next time.